Welcome to Comic Artist Pro Secrets. It's me, Ethan Van Sciver. Maybe you remember me, 28-year veteran of the comic book industry, world's most charming, disarming, elegant, eloquent, and yet humble man, great big Sopranos fan, and trusted member of the media. Cancel culture versus consequence culture. Is there a difference? What is the difference? Is the difference that one of them, cancel culture, is the result of an actual organized hate mob, and consequence culture could actually be the result of karma. It's under the control of God and circumstances and things that have nothing to do with you and I. We're going to talk about that in this video. I'm going to show you that sometimes, karma can be instant. Karma could take a long time. Karma could just happen over the course of a year. Before I show you what the heck I'm babbling about, let me invite you to please back Cyberfrog Blood Honey box right here. The link's in the description below. You're going to get this beautiful box of, it's like a store folio, double magnetic, and there are a bunch of different new versions of Cyberfrog here that you can back, including this beautiful silver or ghost edition, white embossed and sculpted Cyberfrog Blood Honey, Dale Keown covers, acetate covers by Dale Keown on these beautiful, beautiful comics. Make sure that you back this. Again, link is below in the description. Okay, so back in 2020, just a year and a half ago, this happened. And I got to say, even though this is incredibly awful, and at the time it was just like, man, is this ever going to end? It wasn't all that surprising. I was receiving threats, death threats, and all manner of harassment and abuse for about 3 years, ever since it became clear to the comic book industry that I voted for the president, Donald Trump. I was a Trump supporter. I was happy he won. I even gloated a little bit about it. I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed my victory, my personal victory as a voter after 8 years of enduring Obama and Biden. And I wanted to say so. Well, the comic book industry did not like this at all. A group of radical leftists within the comic book industry organized. They actually organized to get me not just fired, but to actually destroy my life. There's a technique called DAMN, DAMN, destroy a man now. And it's all about the use of language. It's all about manipulation in order to stir up bad feelings, a hate mob against somebody. I mean, take a look at something like this. This is an example of how this works. Here's this clown. I've had current working comic creators reach out to me and say they're afraid of losing their jobs, that they speak up about Ethan Van Sciver because they know DC Comics will protect what? Abusers. Who did I abuse? What did I do? Nothing. That's not stipulated. This never even happened. Over listening to them. This is not what a superhero company does. This is wrong. Okay. And then different tweet fired out shortly thereafter. I've had women reach out to me and say they're afraid to use their social media because Ethan Van Sciver will send his internet hate mob after them again. This is who you have creating your hero stories, DC Comics. Now, none of this is true. It's not based on reality. I never did anything of the sort, and this guy never received any messages at all about me and harassment mobs. But I mean, this is how to get people to be angry at you. This is how to get people to use the animal, the sort of reptilian part of their brain, and make them become kind of angry and hateful and become a mob. And why? Why did this happen? Right here, same guy. Exhibit A through Z is Ethan being a Trump voter. This is why this happened to me. Now, some people are able to look at that and see it for the manipulation that it is. This happened for a long time. I mean, this was like a year-long process to convince people that I was a harasser and an abuser, and no evidence ever came forward. Of course, I'm innocent as the driven snow. But it did work, and eventually the pressure caused DC Comics to say, we're going to stop giving this guy work. We just don't want to deal with it anymore. We don't want to deal with this kind of harassment, believe it or not. It's actually harassment. But it actually worked to convince some people who I guess were not as smart that this is actually the fact. This is true. It angered people, and it did direct violence at me. It directed people who wanted to commit acts of violence against me, like this fellow here. Atomic Basement Comic Shop owner Mike Wellman threatens to blow Ethan Van Sciver. No, my face off my skull. Atomic Basement Comic Shop owner Mike Wellman, ironic last name, took to Facebook to threaten to beat the living out of Ethan Van Sciver as well as blow his fucking face off his skull. Wellman's comments came in response to a post from Van Sciver responding to famed G.I. Joe creator Larry Hama describing Comicsgate. This is kind of how this works. It's like one person says something extreme and crazy, and then it builds and builds and builds. And before too long, you have somebody who's threatening to commit an actual and legitimate, act of violence on somebody. Look, Larry says, I'm sure comic skaters hate me and they have a list of people that they hate. And I said, Larry, there is no list. And if there were a list, you wouldn't be on it. Like, everybody loves you. We love you. Richard C. Meyer admires you, likes your comics. He cites them as a reason why he chose to enlist and serve your country. That's a big deal. Serve his country. Your G.I. Joe comics and their lessons in loyalty inspired us all to stand up for each other as your friends tried to exert pressure on us to betray what we knew was right. We stood behind Richard C. Meyer in his lawsuit against Mark Waid because of your G.I. Joe comics, and we have stood together in solidarity and not giving Kickstarter our business because of the persecution of conservatives and political discrimination that Kickstarter engaged in. You taught us what it means to be real American heroes. You inspire #Comicsgate. This is great. What a great, wow, this is beautiful. Sometimes I look back on my own words and I'm like, way to go. Sometimes, it's like your inspiration is coming from somewhere. From where? It's definitely up there somewhere. Mike Wellman's threats of violence. This is the response that I received to this. I can't wait to see you at a show, Ethan, and beat the living fuck out of you. Okay, so here's a guy who's saying, if I show up at a comic book convention, that's the show. If I show up at a comic book convention to do business and meet you guys, meet my fans, meet my customers, sign comic books, take photos with you, I've got somebody I don't know, some maniac here, who is threatening to actually commit an act of violence against me. This guy's going to literally beat my ass. How dare you insult legends like Larry Hama as well as our industry itself? I don't remember me doing that. Did you guys see me insult Larry Hama? I don't even know if this guy was reading my words. He says, F you, I am a libtard with fists. That's the worst kind. Usually those are up a libtard's backside. You're going to feel them the next time we're at a convention together. Yikes. I am going to beat the living F out of you in front of everybody. Then he went and called me a cowardly little biatch. Ethan Van Sciver, spelled my name wrong. Let's fight. Let me feed you a fist sandwich, you little biatch. I might make a video about this dude. I made an avatar, or made a thumbnail. I don't know if I ever did make this video, but this is SJW soy psycho rage, I would say. Anyway, this is what I ended up receiving from him in private. In public he was saying crazy things, and in private he was sending me a whole list of a whole litany of threats. And it was unpleasant. Mike Wellman of Atomic Comics, this is a retailer, this is a guy who owns a comic shop in California, is sending me death threats. Give me your home address and give the police an actual reason to be concerned, because I will come to your house and blow your fucking face off your skull. That's a fact. Okay, so that's an actual death threat. So this guy wants to know where I live. I do believe that this hippie will hop in some kind of VW bus and make a cross-country excursion to New Jersey. I have no reason not to believe that. There's every reason to think of this as a real, genuine threat. This guy is clearly unhinged. This wasn't just an offhand thing that he typed once and thought better of. This was a long, sustained, couple days long, I think, litany of violent threats. Anyway, the conversation begins with Wellman threatening to beat me up, et cetera, et cetera. And here's me being nice to him, trying to de-escalate. I don't know if this guy is literally unhinged. Bro, there aren't going to be any more conventions. You're going to have to wake up. I said, Mike, do you have he's like, I'll come find you at your home then. What's your address? Put your big boy pants on and tell me where you live. Mike, you have a family. Tell me where you live so I can drive right up to your house and deliver the ass whipping you deserve. I'm like, take care of your family during this hard time. I'm under the impression now things are not going well for this guy. Doesn't matter if I have a family or not. Did you vote for Trump? You understand? Did you vote for Trump? You are deflecting. I am now being threatened with violence. I'm being threatened with murder because of who I voted for. This is the comic book industry. people have to understand, the reason why Comicsgate exists and why it's a growing movement is because this kind of toxicity. I know SJWs use the word toxicity. It's projection. This is toxic. What does toxic mean? It means that you cannot coexist with it. It will cause death. It will cause sickness, illness, harm. It is bad for life. It's the opposite of prosperous. It's the opposite of, anything that is good. This is toxic. Did you vote for Trump? You are deflecting. I said, it does. It matters. Your family needs you. In other words, don't come to my house, dude. That would be a mistake. It would be a mistake for your family if you do that. I don't know if this guy has a family. Why are you suddenly so compassionate? A little late, don't you think? This is just unhinged behavior. I'm compassionate because I can tell you're ill, and I love retailers, and I do. I care about comics retailers. They're not at fault. They're not the reason why the comic book industry is what it is. The comic book industry employs and encourages activists to behave this way. Do you have any? This is actually funny. Do you have any regrets at all for being a Trump voter? Guys, I place the blame squarely on the media, who have these people wound up into believing that Republicans are criminals who deserve to be persecuted. And they really, truly do believe this. This is not an exaggeration. These people really do believe that my vote as a Republican, I'm just a standard Republican. I'm going to vote for whoever's on the Republican ticket almost 100% of the time against a Democrat because, my views tend to lean rightwards. Comicsgate doesn't talk about politics. We're about selling comics. Politics kills sales. That is correct. Comicsgate means something. I'm not into it. But is Comicsgate on the side of Trump? I can't align with that. All right, so we go on. Look, answer me this one question. Are you a supporter of Donald Trump? The president isn't the source of any of your problems, and my political opinions are none of your business. They are, actually. You've answered, but your answer answered itself. Goodbye. And then I got the murder threat. Then he said he's going to come over my house. And again, I'm not looking for trouble. This is an old tweet that I put out. I'm not looking for trouble. I want to draw for people who enjoy my work. I don't know why this seems appropriate for my political enemies. Everywhere I go, people go, I'm going to come see you. I'm going to commit acts of violence against you. I hope your kids get cancer. I hope you blow your hands off. But they always have this weird fantasy about me getting my hands cut off. I don't know why that is. Yeah, indeed, I showed up at a pizza store where some fans were. It's a nice comic book themed pizza shop. I was there to draw on the walls, to sign comics for people. This lovely pizza shop in Florida had a cinder block thrown through the window that night, the night that I was there. This is extremely odd. Of course, over here, you've got Doom Rocket editor Jared Jones and Chunk. The guy's name is Chunk Kelly. How can you dislike somebody named Chunk? Chunk Style Kelly. The two threatened Van Sciver with violence if he happened to be in attendance at Emerald City Comic Con in Seattle, Washington. I'm not coming to Seattle for any reason. Don't worry, guys. Does anybody know if EVS is coming to ECC? I was thinking the same thing, and then cracks knuckles. These people live in a cartoon world. They live in a cartoon world where they're going to commit acts of violence and impose justice on me in some way. And why? Why did this happen? Because of a long, extended and carefully planned out campaign to convince people that I deserve this. And it's weird. It is absolutely strange that this is what happens when you work in the comic book industry as anything other than a radical leftist. You let your politics out. You let people know that you're a conservative, that you believe in the Second Amendment, that you voted for the Republican nominee for president, Republican candidate for president, and you're in for this. They think that you deserve violence enacted on you. Well, I forgot about this because this is just one more of these kind of incredibly degrading and insulting incidents that have happened to me ever since I was canceled from the comic book industry. My entire life canceled. I mean, these people are under the impression that I'm a legitimate racist, that I am all manner of dastardly things that I am not. I'm just, these are all lies that were created to remove me from a position where I could influence or impact people at DC Comics and encourage other right wingers to perhaps be part of this, enjoy comics, enjoy DC Comics. These people wanted the comic book industry all to themselves, which is why it's very sad for them that Comicsgate is so successful and Cyberfrog is so successful. This is all happening in spite of them, and they really can't stand it. But back to this guy. I haven't thought of this guy in a long time, and then somebody brought this to my attention on Twitter. Let me just open this up in a new tab here so that we can get a better look at it. Here he is in the yellow suit here. This is Atomic Basement Comics. Better times, I guess. This was better times. I guess it must be said with a heavy heart that Atomic Basement Comics and Creators Lab will be closing its doors in early January 2022. It sucks, but we have to pull the plug. We did everything we could to keep it going and to be a haven and a resource for not only our local independent comic community, well, not me, not my independent comics, but for comics at large. So this fellow, I can't even guess why he thought that it was appropriate to take out whatever financial stresses he was enduring with his comic book store, which must have been, on the verge of closing even back then a year ago, on me and threatened me with violence. But this is the reality. And this is kind of what I have come to understand about who I am and what I'm doing and why I'm here. And the predicament that I find myself in, where I have been canceled. It's like everything that I do, everything that I produce as a creative person and an artist now is entirely dependent on me sustaining a relationship with you guys, my customers, because I am no longer connected to the larger comic book industry. In fact, they want me to go away. In some cases, they literally want to kill me, like literally want to kill me. So this is what I've come to realize. And I think it's helped me a little bit. I'm a Christian, okay, and sometimes I do get angry. Sometimes I see these people, and I'm just like, why? Why won't you leave me alone? Like you've taken away, a lot of opportunities for me. You've put my life at risk. You put my family at risk. You've made it so that I can't make a living the same way that I used to. And isn't that enough? And it isn't enough for them. They still want to keep hammering on me. There is something called consequence culture. That's a consequence. I believe in karma to some degree. I do believe in God. I am a Christian. I do believe God's watching out for me. And I do believe people do receive punishment in this lifetime and the next for what they do here on earth. I believe that's going on. And I also believe that a lot of these people who are endlessly abusive to us are doing so because they are miserable. There is something wrong. There are stressors that have nothing to do with me or you or any of us. Their lives are a living hell in many other ways. And of course, as they say, hurt people hurt people. I don't want to hurt anyone. I want to do my comics. I want to do Cyber Frog comic books for you guys. And I want to do that forever. I also want to spend the rest of my life here on Earth, and I hope it's a long one, promoting independent comic books created by people who cannot work in the mainstream comic book industry or would rather not. They would rather just publish their independent comics on their own. I want to make sure that that's possible for them. I want to cancel culture and go ahead and let consequence culture flourish, because that is justice. That is actually divine justice. Sorry for this dude that he's got his comic book shop shut down, but that's what you get, I guess. Thanks everybody for watching this video. Appreciate you. You guys are the best. Would you do me a favor? Would you please subscribe to my channel? Would you hit the like button? Would you share this video? Love you guys. Like I said, I can't do it without you guys, and I'm so grateful that so many of you have been supportive of All Caps Comics, Cyberfrog, and Comicsgate up to this point. We can do anything. We don't need these people. We can do it and make comics and do whatever we want to do. We can create our own platforms. We can create our own industries. We can create our own entertainment, but we can only do that if we help each other out. Thank you so much, and I'll see you again soon with another video. Bye-bye.